Max Verstappen just got punished for something he didn't even do. From a clean top 6 start to 9th on the grid. 3 positions gone in seconds. And here's the part almost nobody noticed. The incident didn't even happen with him in the car. It happened somewhere else. In traffic. In chaos. At a track where over 100 cars fight for space at the same time. But this is where it gets even bigger. This is now the second time in weeks that Verstappen delivers on track and loses everything off it. First, a dominant win erased after the race. Now, a qualifying result destroyed before the race even starts. 2 different mistakes. Same outcome. And starting 9th here is not just bad. It's dangerous. More traffic. Higher risk. And a much bigger chance that everything goes wrong in the first minutes. So this is no longer just a penalty. This is a pattern. And what's really happening behind this might change how we see Verstappen's entire season. The moment everything collapsed didn't look like a disaster. No crash. No spinning car. No replay that made fans stop and say, "That's the mistake." It was subtle. Almost invisible. And that's exactly why it matters. Because while Verstappen was preparing his lap, his race was already being decided somewhere else on the track. Lucas Auer was out there. Pushing. Searching for a clean window. And at the Nürburgring, that's almost impossible. This isn't a normal qualifying session. This is controlled chaos. More than 100 cars. Different categories. Different speeds. All fighting for the same piece of asphalt. And here's where things get dangerous. Because one driver's decision becomes everyone's problem. Auer commits to the lap. He finds traffic. A Porsche. Slower class. Wrong moment. Wrong place. And in a fraction of a second, the situation crosses a line. Not dramatic. Not obvious. But enough. Enough for the stewards to step in. Enough to label it interference. And that single word changes everything. Because in endurance racing, penalties don't stay isolated. They don't belong to just one driver. They hit the entire car. The entire team. Which means Verstappen pays the price. Immediately. No second chance. No way to recover that position before the race begins. And just like that, a top 6 start turns into 9th. Now here's the part that should make you stop. Before that moment, everything was working. The pace was there. The lap was competitive. The position was earned. And still, it disappears. Not because of speed. Not because of skill. But because of something outside his control. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because this is exactly how the last disaster started. Different mistake. Same feeling. Same result. And that's where this stops being a one-off incident. Because when performance keeps getting undone by external factors, you're no longer looking at bad luck. You're looking at a deeper problem. One that only shows up under pressure. One that only appears in the most demanding environment. And there is no place more demanding than this track. The Nürburgring doesn't just test drivers. It tests systems, communication, timing, decision-making under chaos. And right now, that system is being pushed to its limit. Because one small moment, one misjudgment in traffic, was enough to change the entire starting position. And what makes it even more intense is what comes next. Because starting 9th here is where the real danger begins. Starting 9th at the Nürburgring is not just a worse position. It's a completely different race. Because the moment the lights go out, everything becomes unpredictable. Instead of clean air, it's traffic. Everywhere. Cars closing in from all sides. Faster ones trying to escape. Slower ones trying not to get swallowed. And all of it happening in the first seconds. This is where things get serious. Because on this track, the opening lap is not about gaining positions. It's about surviving. One wrong move. One late reaction. One car out of place. And your race is over before it even begins. That's the risk Verstappen now faces. Not because of his speed, but because of where he starts. And for a driver used to controlling races, this changes everything. He's no longer dictating the pace. He's reacting. Corner by corner. Gap by gap. Reading situations that develop in real time. And here's where the pressure increases even more. Because this is not a short sprint. This is hours of racing. Hours of navigating traffic. Hours of making perfect decisions. While everything around you is unpredictable. So the strategy shifts. Do you push early and risk getting caught in the chaos? Or do you hold back and risk losing time you may never recover? That decision alone can define the entire race. And if you think that's the hardest part, it's not. Because this race doesn't stay the same. It evolves. The light fades. The track cools down. Grip changes. Visibility drops. And the Nürburgring at night? becomes something else entirely. More intense, more unforgiving, more dangerous. This is where experience matters most, where confidence is tested, and where hesitation costs more than just time. Now add everything together. A compromised starting position, heavy traffic from the start, a race that transitions into darkness, and a team that has already made costly mistakes. This is not just a comeback drive. This is a full test of control, of patience, of execution under pressure. Because Verstappen has already proven one thing. He can fight back. He can recover. He can win on track. But this time, that might not be enough. Because the real question is not whether he can climb positions. The real question is whether everything around him can finally hold together long enough to let him finish the job. And that answer is something we are about to find out. And this is where everything stops being about this race and starts being about something much bigger. Because what we are seeing right now is not just a bad qualifying. It's not just a penalty. It's a warning, a very clear one. The Nürburgring is exposing something. Something that doesn't show up in normal races. Something Formula One can hide. But this track cannot. Because here, it's not enough to be fast. You need everything to work perfectly. Driver, team, strategy, communication. Every single detail. And so far, that hasn't happened. Not completely. Think about it. First, a dominant performance. A race that should have been a statement. Taken away by a tire miscalculation. A basic error. Then, another strong weekend. Another opportunity. Lost, because of an incident in traffic. Not even involving Verstappen directly. Two different problems. Same consequence. And that's what changes everything. Because when mistakes keep coming from different places, it means the issue is not isolated. It's systemic. And in endurance racing, that's the worst scenario. Because the bigger the race, the longer it lasts. The more those small issues multiply. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4. And suddenly, you're no longer fighting for the win. You're just trying to finish. That is the reality of the 24-hour race. And that is exactly where all of this is leading. Because this weekend is not the final goal. It's preparation. It's a test. A brutal one. Designed to expose weaknesses before it's too late. And right now, the test is revealing cracks. Not in speed. Not in talent. But in execution. Under pressure. In chaos. In the exact conditions that define the Nürburgring. And here's the part that makes this even more intense. Verstappen knows it. He understands this track better than most. He has already said it. There is no perfect lap here. Only better decisions. And fewer mistakes. But that idea only works if the entire system follows it. Not just the driver. Everyone. Because one mistake from anyone becomes everyone's problem. And that's exactly what keeps happening. So now the situation becomes very clear. This is no longer about whether Verstappen is fast enough. That question is already answered. The real question is, can everything around him rise to the same level? Can the team eliminate the small errors? Can they handle the pressure? Can they execute cleanly when it matters most? Because if they can, then this story changes completely. From frustration to redemption. From penalties to victory. But if they can't, if this pattern continues, then what we are seeing right now is not just a difficult weekend. It's the beginning of a much bigger problem. One that could follow them into the biggest race of all. One that could define the entire project. And that is why this moment matters so much. Not because of 9th place. Not because of 3 lost positions. But because of what it represents. A test. A warning. And a question that will only be answered on track. In traffic. In darkness. When everything is at stake. And when there is nowhere left to hide. And now we reach the point where everything is decided. Not in qualifying. Not in the penalty. But in what happens next. Because moments like this, they define drivers in a different way. Not by how they win, but by how they respond when everything starts going wrong. And this is where Verstappen enters a completely different territory. Because for the first time in a long time, he is not the one in control of the situation. He is reacting to it, adapting to it, managing variables he cannot fully predict. And that changes the pressure entirely. Because now, every move carries more weight. Every decision feels heavier. Every overtake becomes a calculated risk. Push too hard, and you become part of the chaos. Hold back too much, and the race slips away. That balance, that razor-thin line, that's where everything is decided. And this is what makes this moment so important. Because this is not just about recovering positions. It's about proving something deeper. That even in the worst conditions, even starting from 9th, even with everything that has already gone wrong, he can still impose himself on the race. But here's the twist. That might not be enough anymore. Because what this weekend has revealed is that one driver is not enough to guarantee the result. Not here. Not in this kind of racing. This is about the whole structure. The entire system working as one. Flawless. And if even one piece fails, everything collapses again. So now the pressure shifts. It's no longer just on Verstappen's shoulders. It's on the team. On every call. Every pit stop. Every communication under pressure. Because they've already made mistakes. They've already paid the price. And the Nürburgring doesn't give you endless chances. It gives you opportunities. Very few of them. And if you waste them, it remembers. So this race becomes something else entirely. Not just a fight through the field, but a test of trust. Can Verstappen trust the system around him? Can the team deliver when everything is on the line? Can they finally align? At the exact moment it matters most? Because if the answer is yes, then everything changes. This becomes the turning point. The moment where all the mistakes, all the frustration, all the lost opportunities, finally lead to something bigger. But if the answer is no, if something breaks again, then this isn't just a bad weekend anymore. This becomes a pattern that follows them forward. Into the biggest race of all. Into the 24 hours. Where there is no margin. No forgiveness. No second chance. And that's why this final phase matters more than anything we've seen so far. Because this is where the story stops building and starts revealing the truth. Not about speed. Not about talent. But about whether everything around Verstappen is strong enough to match him. And that answer is coming. Corner by corner. Lap by lap. In traffic. In darkness. Where every second feels longer. And every mistake lasts forever.